Call the Village of Cross Plains Finance Advisory and Enhancement Committee meeting May 3rd to order. Roll call, please.
Committee member Hillebrand. I see he's on. Committee member Cutler, committee member Henry,
Here.
trustee Paul Mikowski,
Here.
and President Linkfeld.
Here. All right, we're at public comment. This is an opportunity for anyone to address the Finance Advisory Enhancement Committee. Please observe the time limit of 3 minutes while the Finance Advisory and Enhancement Committee encourages input from residents that may not discuss or act on any issue that is not duly noticed on the agenda. And I don't see anybody else on, and there's no one in your office, is there, Bobby? All right, we will go to general business, discussion and possible action. Well, let's try it again. Discussion and possible approval of the February 2nd, 2022 Finance Advisory and Enhancement Committee minutes. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Do I have a second? Well, I will second it. I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Tim, can you hear us?
He was on mute for a second. I saw it come up.
You
And
just
then
gave us
got
thumbs up.
A thumbs up.
Oh.
Okay, we just can't hear him. All right.
Sign language.
Yeah. Well, very creative. Okay, we're at discussion and possible action regarding the sidewalk replacement report. There's really no action. I just wanted to give everybody a heads up that I'm going to be putting this on the May board meeting. And Tim, I know you worked on this some. If you would like to be the presenter, that's fine. Otherwise, we both can do it. I can give you a call later on just to talk about that, but I just wanted to give everybody a heads up that this will be moving to the board. We've kind of been sitting on it since January, but I wanted the new administrator in place by then. So really, we don't have to do anything. It's more of an information. All right.
Do we have a recommendation to send to the board on that then?
I don't think so. I think we give option. I'd have to go back. I think if I remember, we just gave options. It was more of a informational thing. We gave a policy, history. Yeah, we have options. We have 4 options on there. Maintain the status quo, which the village covers 100%. Option 2 is village and owner do cost sharing to cover all costs. 3 is owner covers 100% of the costs. 4, village staff removes old sidewalk and owner covers 100% of replacement sidewalk. Those were the 4 options.
Okay.
Can I say something real quick that was included in the packet there? That document that you have after that one from 1977 that talks about the street assessments and whatnot.
Yep.
When I was doing the streetlight research back in that time around 77, 78, there was a big issue in the village because developers at that time did not install curb and gutter. It was paid for by the village or the residents.
Oh,
That's why that's done like that. And I'm not even sure how much of the street the developer paid for. That's why they might have done a 50-50 with the village. It was a big argument with Herbie Stotts because he was like between phase 1 and 2, and they wanted him to pay for everything on the second phase or all these newspaper articles.
oh,
So
that's
I'm just
interesting.
I'm just letting you know at that time, like how we required the developer to pay for all this stuff. At that time, I do not think the developer paid for all that infrastructure.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions on that? All right, we'll go with the next one is discussion and possible action regarding a future compost site. A little history on this is we were taking our compost out to property that we were leasing on Garfoot Road. Last year, she asked us to no longer put compost on her property after January 1st. So we've been going out, Jerry and I have been looking, we have found a farmer off of Otter Creel Road that will take it. So we have a 3-year agreement with them, but what we really need to do is come up with something that the village owns. So we aren't always at the mercy, and I can only think that restrictions and everything are gonna get tighter. So Tim has started this already. I wish he could get on, but I know one thing is he contacted Black Earth, and they're kind of also looking for a site and might be interested. So we might be able to do co-op with them. We're going to look at what another alternative is, just hauling our stuff to what's called the Purple Cow, and then they deal with it. So we'll try to pull some numbers with that. We're looking for basically 2 to 3 acres, and the DNR now has a list of requirements that your compost site has to meet. They're not extreme. When we went around, there were 2 farmers that had property that they were willing to at least lease us that would probably have met those requirements. So I know Tim is still working on that. If someone would like to work with him on that, that would be nice. So we can kind of pair up, and what we're looking at is just options and seeing if we can find a piece of land or a farmer willing to sell some of it and work with Black Earth on this, at least just to see how much of their interest they have in it. Middleton and Wanakee both use the Purple Cow option. So I guess I don't know what Mazo does, so there's a little bit more research, calling around and trying to figure out what everybody else is doing and seeing if we can find something. So that's kind of that in a nutshell. So if someone else would have an interest with working, oh, Tim's got his hand up, I think.
I do. Can you hear me? No?
Oh, now we can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. That's good.
You got 2 devices going at the same time, so it's feeding back.
There we go. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, the Purple Cow thing, the more I look at it, it might not be the worst case scenario based on tonnage. Otherwise, we have to maintain it if we buy our own site. So though we have the equipment, we still have to deal with maintaining and rotating every, whatever their requirements are. So I'm not sure if there may need a little more work as far as we really want to have our own property and maintain it, or do we want to install it somewhere, somebody else do that for us?
Well, do you know what the cost is per ton for the Purple Cow? Do you know their scale?
No, he wants to ask questions like how many tonnage per year we think and so forth. So they have a contract with Middleton and Wanakee. And so my thought was, and I didn't get to it today, was to call and ask them what they charge Wanakee per year for their tonnage, and then figure maybe half or a third of that. What our
Oh,
cost
okay.
would be. I mean, sure, we're gonna have the travel time, but we're not having guys on site and using ours, you know what I'm saying, maintaining the pile.
No, I think that's a great cost analysis to do, and clearly Wanakee is taking that option. So yeah, I think that is going to be clearly one of the options. It's just that you lose control of the cost, And how long are the contracts for them? Do you know?
What was that?
How long is the contract like with Wanakee signs? It's a 2-year, 3-year, 1 year?
I'll ask them when I get a hold of them and ask them the time flying and what they're looking for, because I'm sure they have to have He did mention something about an increase built into the contract, obviously for their costs. So I'm thinking I'll get that information and find out if they do a 2 or 5 year contract or.
Okay. All right, well, that kind of, yeah, and if they have a price per tonnage, that would be kind of, even if it's just a rough guess,
Right.
you know, what it comes to, that would be good, because then we can kind of do a calculation on what we are, and we can do Wanakee's 12,000 people, is it?
Yeah, I think they are somewhere in that neighborhood.
Okay. Huh,
But there are a lot of new subdivisions there too, and a lot of, what is a tree, how many tonnage would be is a good question, like we have probably little that comes out of the Viridian subdivision or the Laufenberg subdivision because the trees, we don't have as many, I'm just thinking we'll get the numbers and then we can go from there.
okay. All right, well, that sounds good. Appreciate it. Does anybody have kind of an interest in working with Mike on that, or? I mean, I'm not Mike, but Tim, or do you need help, Tim, or is that something you can run with?
I can run with it. If I do, I can ask for help. I know I heard your question before about Mazo, and Mazo's, they're kind of hoarding their space that they have. They know it's limited. So because even Black Earth was saying that they weren't allowing them to drop their stuff off in Mazo because they want to protect what they have for their use.
Okay,
So, Black Earth's looking, but I don't think Mazo's are an option for us to try to tie in with them at this point.
okay. All right, well, let's keep all the options open and kind of look it out and see what we can come up with.
We want to look at working with the DNR because I think I looked briefly at some of that information, and there's an application you can file to start the process to have them come and work with you if we found a site or what the requirements would be for us.
I can send you the contact. I've been working with a person. And Jerry's been also talking with them, so he knows what we're looking at. I can forward you his name and contact information. Plus, the same email that I forward you will have the application and the requirements within the application, and
Okay.
then you can go to the state statute and get it defined a little bit. But it's pretty clear just reading,
Right.
the little checklist that they have.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, I'll dig that up and send it to you, Tim, all right?
Sounds great. Thanks.
Yeah. Anything else on this that anybody wants to ask? All right, move on to discussion and possible action regarding new village hall / police station. You saw in your packet, I put together some financial indicators that we've they're up here just to kind of keep track. I would like these to be updated probably every 6 months to a year, so we stay kind of understanding where we are financially with moving forward. If anybody can think of anything else that we should be keeping track of that's not on here, let me know. And we will add it to the list, and then, probably end of June and January, we'll kind of take a look. You can find some of these numbers on the internet fairly easy, and we can keep an eye on interest rates and stuff like that, and keep updating this thing as we move forward. Are there any questions on this at all, or if anybody has anything else we might want to track?
I have one question.
Sure.
It's the last one on the second page
Okay.
of that document where it says tax increase. When you say a 1% tax increase, what does this amount allude to? What is?
All right, if you would go to our last, when we were in budget, Bobby always puts together a sheet saying, if you add this amount of money, it's going to add 1 more %. If you cut this amount, it'll drop it. So
Right.
that's what the 1%. So last year during this 2022 budget talk, a percent was about $30,000. So then I took the cost which we used for the 2.2, and it came up with at 2.2, what amount of money can you borrow for the 1%, which would have been 30,000. So that just kind of shows what you can add if you were using 2022 numbers.
Okay.
If you go back to, I think even November was the most up-to-date one she did, when we were talking about budget, you'll see the matrix that she put together.
Right, right.
So then I just took that amount and said, how much can you borrow for that amount?
Okay, so that amount is the, okay, I think I understand. I'll check it out and try to run some numbers, try to figure
Yeah,
it
so
out.
take 650,000 over 30 years, and I believe it was either 2.5, 2.7, what the payment would be for principal and interest.
And it would be 1% is
It would be
30,000.
30,000, which would equal 1% increase in taxes.
Right, okay, right, so, yep, I understand it now, okay. I just,
Is there a cost estimate on this building?
Well, the one that we're using is, again, you can see right up, well, go back, if you can go back to what we were looking at. Go to the last page, please. Okay, so construction costs are right there. We're looking at a building of around 15,000 square feet. At $300, it would be 4.5 million. At 350, it would be 5.25 million, so and so. So that's what you're looking at. If it's under 300, then it's going to be under 4 million.
Okay.
And we're, these are, the square footage was taken off the 2013 study that the village consulted with Bray Associates for a new building.
Okay. Is this part of will the TID affect this at all or not?
No, it looks like unfortunately, we can't. I think, I'll have to check, but I'm thinking maybe we can't do it for the public safety or village hall. But I'm wondering if we can tack in the expanded parking lot and the outside bathrooms under economic development tourism. Then, I don't know. We'll see if we can play the game and sneak around and find a loophole. But that would be probably the best we could do.
So was it TID have an expiration date or when we think it'll be done or?
Yeah, but that's 2037.
Okay.
And what's the timeline on this project?
Well,
Yeah,
right
we can
now,
wait.
I think if you looked at that other document that I sent, I think what we're looking at is construction starting in the fall of 2025. That's what I would look at. And then we'll work backwards on that. Just so you know, the appraisal, if you hadn't heard, the appraisal for the lot came in over what we've offered for it, so we're good there. And we'll be looking at a number of options on how to pay for that lot in the May meeting. And then I think we have to kind of work backwards. I'm thinking maybe even next year we can start with a couple of the first phases of architectural work. Obviously, we're not going to get to building plans until we get closer, but it'd be nice to at least get somewhat of an idea of what the building would look like, and they could probably do a preliminary cost estimate for us. I think the latter of next year would be a good time to at least get that to see where we're at and change some of these numbers.
Okay.
Any other questions? So really our task will be to try to keep these up to date, to keep the subcommittee and the staff and the board up to date on how this thing is floating through as we get closer and closer. So really take a look, and if you have something else that you think is a factor we should be taken into consideration, or you see something, let me know and we can start keeping this. This is going to be a living document. It'll be constantly changing, and I'll probably bring it back every 6 months to a year. I don't really see by doing it monthly how that's any value to it, the way things go.
Jay, one question. You said the square footage came from a 2013 study,
Mm-hmm.
so we're talking 10 years old?
Yes.
10 years.
Yes, you're right.
Do we feel that's an appropriate square footage, or?
Well, I've sent it to staff at least 3 times, and it's all been, everybody's good with what is set up in that. So
Okay.
I'm still moving forward with that. And I guess once we start getting pricing, we'll see if that's affordable, and if we have to cut, where to cut, or,
Yeah.
you know, that's where it sits right now. That's our starting point, and
Good.
that's, you know, solid with them doing a study and department heads agreeing that there hasn't been any real changes.
Okay.
And just so you know, also, and this, you know, I don't know where this is going to pan out to, but I saw on the news about 2 weeks ago, I don't know if you saw that, Tammy Baldwin, they gave Platteville $7 million for a new fire station, and Representative Pocan gave that African American Cultural Center on the south side of Madison $2 million. So we've contacted both those offices, and actually next Tuesday, I'm meeting, and Brian and I are meeting with a representative for Pocan's office, and we're going to try to set something up with Senator Baldwin's office, and I'm going to try to figure out how we can get in and at least make an argument for some of that money to flow our way.
Cool.
So I'm checking in that. I've had a pretty good, I think we can get maybe some funds for the expanded parking lot and the bathrooms under tourism. I guess the state now has a tourism section that has their own pot of money. And I think we can sell this as, it's right on the Ice Age Trail. It could be expanding recreational activity in Xander Park. It could be a trailhead for the future Gateway Trail. It could be the starting point for the bike race, you know, the biking that comes in, the off-road biking that we have right across the street. So maybe we, you know, it's not going to fund the whole thing, but maybe we can get $750,000, you know, to cover that cost of it. So, yeah, my gear is shifting. I went to a lot of the organizations in town for letters of support and letting them know where we're at and everything. So my next is, now I'm going to really start trying to get on these lists for funding.
Good.
So that's kind of where we are. And if you hear anything or come across anything, or you hear anything on the news where people are getting money, let me know, because I want to track some of this stuff down. Neither Brian or I saw anything where these 2 big dollar amounts came, you know, from any particular fund that was a competitive grant application. So I'm not really sure how one gets that, but we'll find out next Tuesday.
So would it help us to move up the timeline as far as site and building design? So it's like quote shovel ready. And if something comes around, we can say, yeah, we're all set. There's no, you know, year and a half delay trying to figure out what we want for design and layout, or is that foolish to think that might happen?
No, well, that's kind of, we're probably on the same link. The problem is I can't well, I shouldn't say the village can't afford the payments for the big construction part until 2026. That's when we have that drop in debt service to afford it. Now, if we get, if we would get $2 million or something like that, then that changes kind of the formula. But I agree with you that the next step to me is to get the preliminary design out, maybe some renderings, and then maybe what a preliminary cost estimate. So I really think that is something we should be looking at by the end of this year or next year, and then that'll get us pretty close.
Cool.
Is that what you're kind of thinking?
Yeah, then we wouldn't wait until 24 to start getting an architect involved and drawings and renderings, and then they say, well, you're really not ready because you haven't finalized it. That we say, no, here's our building, and
Yeah, and I think we would want that anyways, to start building more community support for it and getting the community excited about it. It's always better when you can show a picture,
yeah.
and like I say, my last newsletter articles almost was probably 90% on the need for it. The one that's coming due later this week, I'll be talking about the finance part of it, just to keep the community informed, All righty, anything else on that? Does anybody else have an interest in working on this? Otherwise, I'm comfortable with keeping this thing moving forward and keeping those numbers up to date. All righty, let's move to the next item. It's discussion and possible action regarding village consultants. What this is, we spend a lot of money on consultants, and some of them have been our same group forever and ever. So there's two items I think would be helpful for the board. One is getting just what the cost has been. I'd go back to 2020, 2021, and what we're going for 2022. And then I would look at all our consultants, and I would like to do just a survey to department heads on how satisfied they are with the consultants, and probably do the same survey to board members, just to get some input and see if there's maybe a need to put an RFP out for, some of the services, or talking about it, just trying to do kind of a check on it. I think people are going to be surprised how much we spend on it, and maybe there'll be some things that come up that we'd be able to find some cost savings on. Is there anybody interested in taking that one on?
What would be some examples that our current consultants do?
Well, trash pickup, we've got a pretty well, that one would be fairly easy. Village attorney, village planner,
Assessor.
engineer, auditor, assessor. Help me, Bobby. How many more are there? There's
Yeah, planner, engineer. Yeah.
if people that we don't have a paid staff for. we
Building inspection,
contract out.
maybe.
What's that?
Building inspection.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think we could come up with a long list of that. Well, can you guys think about it and let me know? It'd be nice to, I kind of like to get this done. Well, it's probably, well, it'd be nice to at least have some of it. It'd be nice to have the survey done. And again, it's only, I think you can list all the services and, how how responsive are they is one question, and then you can have a scale of 1 to 7, whatever. I mean, I don't think this has to be more than 4 or 5 questions, and matter of listing the consultant group, and but it'd be nice to have it probably by August, end of August. Because the budget process starts where we would hand that in either September, right? For operating.
Yep, September.
So by end of August,
So are you looking for though, like, you go out and do a cost and then you putting out the RFPs to see like what it would cost if we went with like a different attorney even?
no, I would only consider an RFP if there was where you got a lot of feedback with a certain consultant that people really think we should probably see if there's anybody better out there. I mean, if
Okay.
everybody gets 10s, or 7s, let's say, I'm not sure we would want to change. It's for some of them, it's a big thing, like your attorney. Getting someone, Paul has a lot of historical background and knows that, and same thing with, I guess, our engineer, but I'm open, but I'm not looking to send out all these RFPs.
Right, okay. Well, that's what I was
Because
wondering.
because you're not going to go on lowest bid. You're going to have to do interviews, because services are not tied to state statute where you have to take lowest bid. So we would definitely want to have an interview process.
So all you're really asking for is a survey and how much each consultant is costing the village is like what you're
Yeah.
looking at?
Yeah, looking at what the costs have been over, let's say, the last 2-3 years, and then survey just to see how people feel about the services we're getting from them.
With cost of consultant, how would we get that information? That's my question. Is that something that you have, Bobby? I mean, do you know how much we spent on the village engineer in all of these 3 years or are going to? Is that just like
I
a
mean,
line?
it's a fairly simple report that I can run out of
Okay.
the software. I can pull that information together.
Well, it sounds like that part seems like we could get pretty easily. And the survey piece, I could probably type something up and bring it to the next meeting and see if those are the questions. I don't know what kind of questions you want in the survey.
Well, think
Yeah.
about it, Michael. If you were in charge of the village and you wanted to know how
How
your consultants are doing, right? You're going to ask the people who use them, and
Right. Like what questions? Yeah, I could try to put together some questions for the next meeting
okay,
and we'll see. I mean, I don't know. I'm just going to try to brainstorm and see what I
Right.
come up with. I don't know what I'm going to come up with,
right. But it's, the level of service. I think customer satisfaction surveys are kind of common. Everybody wants you to take them these days. And
Well-
that's what we're doing, right? We're their customer.
Yeah. That's why I just feel like they're going to be fairly generic questions,
Well, they are.
Right. Okay.
But if all of a sudden we get a really low grade for one, then I think we got to really take a look at, do we want to replace it or not?
Right. All right. I can write up a survey
Okay,
and I'll just get in touch with Bobby about that report on the costs then, Bobby. At some time I'll send you an email or whatever. Or if you
Yeah,
just wanna-
I'd say between this week and next week,
Okay.
I'd have time
Yeah.
to run those reports and stuff, yeah.
Okay.
all right. Well, I
That'd be
thank you,
better.
Michael.
Jay, would we look at, just had a, intergovernment agreements as well with that or not?
I don't know what inner agreements we have.
Okay.
I mean, can you think of any
I thought we had-
besides EMS and fire?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know if water and sewer does, if, like with, I think, the Mazo plant where we take our,
Yeah, well, Iowa Dane, we have a contract with,
Okay.
but that was a long-term one, and I think it does come up in 2025.
okay,
But yeah, if we can think of one, the other one that would be there is our lawn service company. That's another one that we contract out. Yeah, I don't know if we really are tied. I don't think we have any type of agreement with the school district, which is a little surprising. But I don't think we have any with any other jurisdiction that I can think of.
Does Mike have anything, the parks, Mike Axon, with like the Parks and Rec with the schools at all? Like if he uses their gyms, does we actually have a formal? For some reason, I think we might.
Well,
have-
what's our other option? Like, if we don't like the school, we're gonna,
Well, right, exactly. So what's the point? Yeah, I mean,
But-
yeah.
But at least we're looking at it. And I'm
Yeah.
thinking too, like, for emergency management, are we prepared to have an intergovernmental agreement or something with the Legion Hall or the schools in case of a crisis, that we have authority to go in there and utilize their facilities, I'm sure, or is it just a handshake agreement that if we have to relocate people from a nursing home because of a fire, that X facility is willing to take them?
Yeah, I know, but just to answer that, I know the chief is putting together a plan under emergency management. But Tim, you and I have to get together to get some language that you're talking about into the EMS and fire district agreement. Those both come up, both of them come due at the end of this year.
Okay.
So that is a must have, I think.
Okay.
We've got to have that language in those contracts or agreements.
I'll check with Middleton and see what they have with the school district as well, if they have any agreement.
Okay,
That might help us on that end.
the only one I can think of is the SRO agreement.
yeah,
But
that's
that's,
true. That's a contract, yep.
you
All righty, anything else on this? All righty, so then the last one, updates on the 2023 capital items. I don't know, has anybody worked on theirs? I have not. Jerry's gone and he's gonna be overwhelmed when he gets back.
What, does that include in our packet, the list?
No, and I can't, I'll be honest with you, that has become a kind of a lower priority, so I can't even tell you who has what.
Sure.
I think the one thing we wanted to do, Jed, remind me, is we were gonna have Mike come in and talk about what's the process or the planning for replacing park equipment. Do you remember that?
Yeah. We were supposed to invite him to a meeting, you're right.
So that's the only thing I can think of, and we can certainly do that. We can talk to him on that.
Okay.
But that's about it. Anybody else have anything on that they remember that was theirs to look at?
I just pulled
Any
out the
other-
list.
Oh,
So Deb had your books in the library shelves.
okay.
Dad had Melody Acres Playground. Kevin had the Polaris Gem and then Bear Park Diamond.
Oh,
And Molly had the pool feasibility study. So,
okay. Well, I'm glad you brought that up. Just so you guys know, which is ties to the one item there, is Mike received a phone call that there's some grant money available to buy all electric vehicles. And the grant would pay for 80% of it. So I know he was looking to put in for that item and one other item. And because he's got money in the capital budget for a truck, and he would buy these vehicles instead of that, and he thought that would really work. And he figured out it would be like these vehicles, one of them would be only $8,000. We'd have to put in a charging station somewhere for him, but he's looking into that. It was a really quick turnaround. I think the deadline is this Friday. And that was just last week he got notified. So that could be coming down, just for you guys to know that. I thought that was a good thing to catch.
I thought we were gonna look at having him bring in some more information about that, I guess, the Polaris electric vehicle, because I wasn't sure what that was gonna be utilized for. I know they talked about using it instead of the minivan to haul students, and I don't, did we ever determine if it's a feasible vehicle to use year round?
It's feasible to use year round, but the use of it would mostly be spring, summer, and fall. And of course, you've got to, on any electric vehicles, it's not nearly as efficient in the winter time because of the battery. But he felt that it would still work. We would have to install a charging station, probably down at the facilities building, so it could be indoors. But he was looking at one of them to actually, I guess they're strong enough to do plowing of like the trails. Yeah. I don't, again, I talked to him he filled me in for about 5-10 minutes, so I don't have a lot of the details, but I'm sure it'll be coming up if we have a positive response to the grant. And I think what's happening is, I think there's quite a bit of money out there that people are trying to get rid of, but they don't want to go through a long process. So they're really making things short and doing things by phone call instead of sending it out to everybody. I'm getting that feel with, I don't know how all these people are getting money and no one knows how they got it. So we'll just got to keep, that's why everybody's got to keep their ears and eyes open. Even if you see something on the news where someone got something from some person, let me know, because I'm going to track that kind of stuff down.
So I have so this is these capital items that it sounds like people had, and
Yeah.
Kevin and Molly are no longer on the committee. I don't have anything or just signed anything under the capital. What do you want me to take over some of those or not, or what? I don't know. Sounds like it's talking to Mike Axum. It's like they're all the same.
Well,
area.
yeah, and I guess the reason I'm hesitant is one of the things that we were looking at are as Tim mentioned, there's a lot of electrical vehicles out there. What is the need versus what will these vehicles? So we were going to kind of help do some research on that. But now all of a sudden, when if you could get a grant to get 80% of it,
You're just gonna research goes out the window.
well, it doesn't necessarily go out the window. I guess it's a lower urgency.
Right.
I mean, we wouldn't get our research done in time. I don't know what, I think he had to submit some model or something already. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. But I was talking more about the baseball field and
Yeah, the Bear Park
study.
one, I think the Bear Park one really should be looked at.
And then Molly's was the pool study. I mean,
I
that's
can
like,
send out the list again and just update those with Michael's name, and everyone kind of gets a reminder like, hey, you should start looking at these.
so what does that mean though? Like you're just doing research to find out the need for this capital item? Is it just providing information to the board when they decide to make these capital decisions? Is that what the
Right.
goal is?
It's looking at the need, and does the item meet that need? And then the third would be, what is the best option to get that? Do you rent? Do you purchase? Do you lease?
There's the
Right.
document,
Or do you
Michael, where
contract
Jay
out?
has comments about what we need to be looking at. So I'll just send that out.
Okay, yeah, just that describes it better than just, email it to me. That'd be great.
Yep.
All right, anything else on this one? All right, are there any future agenda items that people are burning to put on?
I don't have anything future, but if I can just jump back.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Sidewalk replacement.
Yes,
And then there's a document about paying the percentage. And I don't know how far we want to dig back or if it's even worth looking into, but I think there's also agreement maybe in the water and sewer where if the PI property ever comes in, there's a water and sewer fee assessment that's sitting there along Finnish Road that they would have to pay to bring water and sewer to pay back the village because we ran water and sewer up that way. Now, I don't know if that changes because of the Viridian subdivision, that they can tap in off that side too, but or it's even worth exploring to find out if we have money coming to us, if that's PI ever comes into the village, and I don't know if that will happen soon or not, but a lot of history there in the back that people, like Michael was saying, that the developers were told they had to pay for, and then we put it on hold. So,
yeah, we can look into it, but the question is, do we want to spend time now or just wait until that PI land actually gets sold?
right, I just don't want it to, if they owe money, then we should collect it, the water and sewers.
Right.
But if we don't remember these things, or if they don't get brought up and passed on, we're not gonna, the next group may not even know it.
No, I agree with you on that.
Yeah, hopefully it's on some sort of deed restriction or somehow linked to it as some sort of agreement or something. I mean, I don't.
Right. All right, anything else? All right, then, do I have a motion for adjournment?
I'll motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
I'll
All right,
second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same. All right, we're adjourned. Thank you for everybody for attending. Appreciate it.